悪いな、クリーム嬢。
Yo, what's going on, people? Daniel here from the AK Mindset, back again with Rogel to bring you the penultimate episode of the AK Rewatch Kaguya edition. Rogel, talk to the people.
Yes, it's been a minute since, but you know we had to come back because Kaguya Lovers War, very different, one of the best anime series that I've watched personally. So I'm really excited for this episode.
Yes. And this was probably one of the top 3 episodes of the season, in my opinion, just with what was covered and what really, just the events that occurred and who we were focusing on, especially since it was a character that me and Rachel both like. So let's get into the episode. So we started off this week with Ishigami Closes His Eyes Part 3. And this is where we're still in the sports festival arc, but we're focusing a bit more on Ishigami, on his mindset going into the games, how he was starting to enjoy himself, but then a blast from the past comes and he starts to remember why he had such a negative mindset. So first off, what did you think of this introduction in the episode, Rajal?
It was a good introduction to what was going to be one of the most emotionally hitting episodes that I've ever seen in Lovers War. We'd even get a lot of comedy in this section. Imagine, like, we expect comedy on a regular basis, but we got minimal comedy. And like, all I'm going to say is that, you know, a hater has to come and just come back into your life just to hate some more, just to do the most and to destroy what you have going on. Because the way she tapped on Ishigami's shoulder, because he was happy and enjoying himself, like, why are you enjoying your life? Why are you enjoying the sports festival? You shouldn't be happy. And even with that, before that interaction, we could see that something was really bearing down on Ishigami's, like, his mental state, because he was making it clear that everybody that maybe now was a good time for him to move on, like move forward and progress as an individual and move past whatever has been holding him back. But as soon as he wants to move past it, all you have is knock on your door, she just appears. I'm like, what? No, please let my guy breathe.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion. It was good to see him to start to, I guess, shed some of the burdens he had on his mind, like when he was doing the cheering, and you see he was like, oh wow, it was actually, this decision paid off. Like we saw, it was in episode 9 when he first joined, and we see how, like, him actually doing this cheering thing is actually helping him grow as a person. And then that one lingering thing from his past comes, and I just want to Kyoko Otomo. I'm not gonna lie, I think she's just a bit sad for coming to man's sports festival. She doesn't even go to the school, and she came just to hate on him, essentially, just to get out all of the grudge she had. And before we go into, like, the flashback part, what do you think about Kyoko as a character?
Kyoko, she seems to, especially as we go on and progress through this episode, you can tell she is a naive individual. Like, the way she seems like one of those, like, bubbly, outgoing, and can't see anything past what is presented, like, at face value. And she has no depth of thought or depth of, like, perception. She can't analyze anything, and she's immature, because even regardless of whether situation had gone past, that was not in the recent time period. So sometimes let things go. Sometimes just lay the bed and let things rest. But she's like, nah, I have to come and trek to the sports festival, trek to the school that I don't even go to. For what? Just to make somebody else feel bad, and she doesn't even have a full understanding of what went on and what she was protected from. Like, please.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same mind.
It was sad to see.
We see in the flashback, she's a nice person, like, very naive, like you were saying, but she's a kind person. It's just sad that she was so, I guess, taken by, what's his name, Ogino. She was so taken that she couldn't really see the other side. But one thing I will say is it's hard for her to see the other side from when she saw the event. Like, if she just walks in and she just sees Ishigami beating him up, I think you're not gonna be looking, if it's someone you're close to and you just see someone you're not as close to beating them up for seemingly no reason. And Ishigami, one thing I'll say is he didn't handle that situation well at all. Like, there was,
I agree.
but it's hard for me to like go in and criticize him because of like one of his age, like the mindset he had. He was saying about, he was like super high on justice, so I feel like he was a lot more hot-tempered too, so he didn't really think his action through, because his plan was correct in confronting the guy, like coming up with the proof, but he shouldn't have given the proof to him, because the guy just destroyed it, and then when he flipped it, he had no leg to stand on seemingly, because all he had was like empty words. And the guy, he's already like a outcast, so, and that guy was a popular guy, so his word against your word, he's always gonna win. But it was very sad to see him just descend into this like loneliness, like him being depressed, and like the people around him, like the adults as well. Like, I think one scene you see his dad hit him, and then the guidance counselor is not even a guidance counselor. Like, that's a bad teacher, honestly. Just the way he was shouting at him for no. He didn't really seem like he was looking to get both sides of the story. He just believed one side, which is terrible.
The adults in these scenes seemed also very. It's hard to make a sharp judgment upon how they saw it, because obviously, from that kind of perspective that they came from for that situation, it's easy to just see that one guy was just beaten on another individual shamelessly, and that guy, because he's the other guy, Otomo, because he's high IQ and manipulation he had there to switch that situation and make it look like it did. That if I was confronted with the same scene and the same perception and the same narrative, I probably at that age, I'm not sure about the adults. The adults should have definitely looked into it more. But at that age, I probably would have followed the story and said, maybe he's just a creep, maybe that. But even knowing that, I say probably, but I know I wouldn't, because it's so out of character from Ishigami, the kind of individual he was. Like, they knew from the school. He seemed to be very quiet, very to himself, very not really open. It's very random from him to take such a
extreme
outgoing
approach,
like stance. Yeah, like, it's so weird. If that happened, if I saw that happen, I'll be like, wait, there must be something else, because this guy who has done nothing from junior school, whenever we've known him, suddenly to do something that extreme, I'll be like, okay, there must be more to the story. But everybody ate from that guy's hand. They were lapping it up. They were like, yeah, this guy's speaking facts.
Yeah, they didn't even think. They were like, yeah, Ishigami's a creep. And you were saying about the adults, I do hear you on that point, but if like Shirogane, Kaguya and Chika, who were students, were able to uncover the truth, then that tells me the adults definitely can, because like they're working with the same amount of information too. It's just different mindset. They approached it with an open mindset and weren't just willing to go with the crowd. But yeah, that situation, although I think Ishigami handled it poorly, his intentions, it's just the intention, what he had was good. It's just the way he had approached it, and I think maybe that was just a product of him not having people around him where he could discuss things. Because if he run that by somebody, they'd be like, whoa, you can't do that. But also, I have to give him the benefit of the doubt because of what Ogino was saying to man, because he was like, oh yeah, I'll show you pictures of my girlfriend, and I think that was what set him off and like made him see red. So I don't want to completely fault Ishigami, because I understand where he was coming from, and I like this little insight we get into how he was in the middle school, how he didn't like Kyoko, he just wanted her not to get hurt. And it's a shame that she took it as poorly as she did.
It's true, because she, like, especially how she's introduced to us, she seemed like a really nice character, really somebody who purposely looked out for somebody who seemed lonely and didn't have too much friends. She went out of her way to make friends with her or make some type of relationship. I feel like the thing, like you said, Ishigami did get a lot of things wrong in how he reacted and how he went about it. But obviously, it's a highly stressful situation. He definitely shouldn't have. Like, even when he was reflecting, he kind of said, "I didn't even really know her, yet I did all this." If you know what I mean. He was really reckless in not understanding that sometimes your first logical ideas on how you want to deal with something maybe not the best. It might be right, like, and come from the right place, but sometimes you have to sit back and be like, okay, I know this, but from here, how do I protect this girl but also protect myself and protect other people who may also get involved in this situation? Because he really put himself out there to fight a war that nobody was trying to fight with him. Like, nobody was trying to bring arms and protect him and say, okay, yeah, Ishigami, we're not having this. We're gonna go against, because sometimes just facts, bad people win. Sometimes bad people, or most of the time, bad people are able to manipulate situations and do things where you're like, what? They're in the wrong. They're bad, but somehow I'm the one who's getting the worst repercussions from doing nothing.
Yeah, that's I completely agree. Like, it's like basically I think, not to bring One Piece into it, but Doflamingo has a really good quote in Marineford where he's basically saying the victors dictate the truth of history, something like that. And that applies to the real world so many times, because if you're the more popular one, you can control the narrative, insert facts that aren't true, and people are more likely to believe you because you're seen as the winner from that. Like, Ogino was seen as the winner of that whole confrontation, even though he was in the wrong, because he was able to successfully bring people to his side and get them to change their opinion. And it's not like he had a hard job with how Ishigami's standing in the school was, but like,
facts.
He managed to turn him getting punched in the face. No one even bothered to ask why. They just immediately went with what he was saying. I don't like that guy, man. He's very, I don't like him, man. But I can't fault him for what he did. I
don't like him either, but
go on.
He was very smart. Like, uneven, like how smart he was to understand that situation and how to flip it on himself, like to change the whole narrative. Like, he legit
make himself the victim.
Let Ishigami beat him up. Yeah, and he knew that if he fought back, then Ishigami have a stance, be like, oh, look, he's fighting back. Exactly. There's a reason why he's fighting back. You know what I mean? But he made himself like such like a victim. People was like, wow. And the words he said about, like, this is not trying to frame Ishigami as being in love with Kyoto and say, this is not the way to win somebody's heart. Violence is not the way. Made him look like some next upright gentleman when man was the biggest creep out there. How did he say that I can't stop cheating because I have too many options out there? I was like, bro, just stay single.
Exactly. It's not by force being in a relationship, but anyway, we'll move on to the second part. Miyuki, Shirogane, and Yu Ishigami. What did you think of this part?
So it really, first thing I do want to shout out all the musical scores in these scenes coming from now on, because they really did well in amping up the intensity and really making us really feel what was happening, like with Ishigami and everything regarding that situation. But it's crazy how swiftly we went through, like, from this situation to him being expelled, and his situation mentally and physically. You could see the repercussion of the events that had unfolded. He had lost his confidence, even though you wouldn't say before that he was a really confident guy, but he was confident in what he stood for, and he had lost that. He had lost his sense of justice. He was like, maybe I'm in the wrong. And when you see somebody down that bad, like, that is really sad, especially when you know that they're not wrong.
Yeah, I think because no one believed him, that's what made him lose it the most, because he had no one to turn to. Like, it seemed like not even his parents wanted to hear him out. So I think he was in a place of despair, especially because he met with the teacher every week, and it didn't seem like the teacher was really supporting him. It was just more of a thing like, why can't you just apologize? You're wasting my time every week. And then that probably wore him down. And then just seeing how he was struggling to write the apology, how he's conflicted because he didn't want to hurt the person involved, but he wanted to, I guess, clear his name because he didn't feel like what was happening was fair to him. So like all of that was, I think, really displayed well. Like you could see the anguish on his face. It was very, you feel for him because like, and then like when we switch back to the real time, and you see like how even with the president and Kaguya, he can't even see their faces because like he's not looking at them directly. Crazy. But then when
that's real trauma.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's how you can tell is like it's starting to affect more than just the normal people. It's like spreading, like because of how, I guess, painful the experience was. But when he's lining up for the race and then he's looking down and then the president notices, so he goes up and he puts the headband. That was a great moment for I guess, their relationship, because it shows what the role he plays for Ishigami. He brings light into his life, supports him, and helps reaffirm that what he did wasn't, even though he approached it wrong, the main objective was right, and he was justified in a way to do what he did. And actually it paid off too, like when we go back to the flashback as well. So that was really, really good to see. Just I guess the role the student council plays in Ishigami's life.
Miyuki is actually a real one, like so intelligent, so selfless. So like when he sees somebody down, he has to go out and bring them up and fight for other people, you know what I mean? He just especially in this episode, like you see that how far he will go for other people, and there's no individual. It doesn't matter your status, it doesn't matter your positioning. He's like, cool, I see that person and I know what they stand for and how they have a world view that you need more people, individuals like that, you know what I mean? So he purposely goes out and protects those individuals, because people like Ishigami don't have that popularity and don't have that kind of clout surrounding them. But Miyuki, even regarding that, Miyuki doesn't care. He's like, that's my bro, that's my brother, you know what I mean? I need to help him in any situation that will come his way, anything that has affected him in the past before I even knew him is still like his business. He wants to be involved in Ishigami's healing, and that really impressed me.
Yeah, I agree. Like it just shows, like you've seen it throughout the whole season, like the president is a top tier character, like just when it comes to support, and he comes through once again. You see him, he says, I think he just knows the right words to say most of the time. I feel like he always knows what the person needs to hear at that moment, and then you can just see the change in demeanor.
Damn, nigga. 悪いけど、Otomo。もう
Ishigami just goes and turns to her. He's like, oh yeah, go to hell. I'm just like, rightfully said, because
I love that.
I still think it's weird that she came to the school on, I don't know, maybe it was a day off, and then she was yelling abuse at him. Like, that's just, that doesn't really help you. I don't know. Maybe if you actually sat down and talked to him, had a discussion, maybe I would be more open to it. But like just yelling at him like, oh yeah, I hope you fall on your face. Like that's not gonna warrant anything like, I guess, productive from Ishigami, because that's just hate. He flipped it. He flipped the hate back on her. She looked so shocked as well.
She's like, what? She's like, what did you say? What? Man, I love how, like you said, that instant, those words of affirmation had in just the physical appearance, like his confidence immediately instilled a kind of man became kingly. He said, what? No, I know who I am. I know the kind of people I have around me now. And I know the people who have faith and trust in what I say. And man just flipped it onto her and said, and she was confused because she's like, Ishigami, no, he's not that kind of guy. I think like she continued that because she knew he was easy to prey on. You know what I mean? I don't think if it was another individual, he would have that kind of confidence to come and follow him and regurgitate the nonsense she's been doing for I don't know how long. But in that moment, she's like, wow, Ishigami has confidence, man. Ishigami is not going to stand there now and have that. So I better go home. That's what she's thinking.
And one thing I did like is that when the president came to talk to him, he was like, oh yeah, the way you did it was definitely wrong. It's just reiterating the message that like he definitely went about the whole confrontation very wrong. But then he says that by him not, I guess, submitting and doing what people wanted, he got what he wanted because the guy was so scared that he was going to get exposed that he didn't do anything. So it just showed by sticking to his ideals, he was able to do what he was intending to do. And then the president like just goes like, you don't even need to do a proper apology because in the, I guess, the grand scheme of things, what you were trying to do wasn't completely wrong. So yeah, and we see Ishigami in the race. He's got burners. He was putting in. He almost won. So I'll give him credit.
Do not, Usain runner, Usain Bolt. I was like, and the aftermath of the race, I was like, bro, you don't have to feel like you said he almost won. You don't have to feel any type of way like you're responsible for the team loss because there's 3 other guys in the race, and look at the position they put you in. You had at least, there was like 7 meters to make up. Like the ground you had to make up to make it even that close was a ridiculous feat. So when he was feeling sad, I was like, bruh, you shouldn't even feel sad. If I was you, I'm cussing all the 3 runners behind me. I said, what were you doing, guys? What did you actually do to contribute to this race? Because I don't know why there's a guy 7 meters in front of me. Please, pattern up. That's how I've been like.
It's funny because I said the board game club, they messed up, and that's the Club Chica's part. So I'm not gonna say any more, but it's a bit funny that her club is the one that messed it up for them.
Are we surprised?
No.
on their nonsense, man. We've seen that club previously, and they don't look like they have any ounce of sense to them on like a regular basis. They look, I don't know, they have that group of people are a bit off. They're a bit off.
Just vibes, no seriousness. But
facts.
I think when we first saw the cheer club members, you were like, oh yeah, they didn't even have the decency to draw their faces.
Flashback.
Did you realize none of the cheerleaders had faces? Actually, there was like one person, but they didn't rate them enough as characters to draw on their face. Like, that's disrespectful. What they had was eyebrows and the outline of a nose and lips.
End of flashback.
But now I think you know why they didn't have their faces. So what did you think about that reveal?
It was incredibly like poignant. Like it hit home. Especially, I was actually thinking that when I was watching, a couple of in the previous episodes, I was commenting on how they don't have any faces, thinking that it was just like because they weren't meaningful characters or significant characters. But seeing the reveal when Ishigami is now able to see all of their individual faces and just being able to appreciate the friendship he's been able to build with them, because it says still don't like cheer like that, but he's not doing it because for the cheerleading. He's doing it for the fact that he's in a team that is fighting for something, that is building for something, that is working for something, and with a team that every member is appreciated. Like, you see how that girl was crying after the race. Like, he was shocked, taken back by that. Like, why are you crying? Oh, like, why are you crying? And she's like, I was frustrated because you were frustrated. Like, I felt what you felt. And he's like, what? You're feeling what I feel? What? Nah. And everybody else like coming in is like, well done. We did so well. Like, talking to her, bigging up each other, and just understanding that everything that they did work for, if you look at the results, it was great. Like, their performance, the cheer performance, as well as the three-legged race. And even understanding the fact that he was not even supposed to run in that three-legged race. Like, he was not supposed to run it. He wasn't practicing for anchor. So to come in as a substitute for the captain himself and put a performance like that, I'm like, bro, I was there, I was clapping. I was like, yeah, you're the guy, Ishigami. Like, this is why Ishigami is one of my favorite characters, like, in just anime in general.
Yeah, I think because this scene is similar to one in A Silent Voice. I'm not sure if you've seen that movie, but in that scene,
I've seen that.
Yeah, like when all the X's go off the people's faces, like this scene and that scene is very similar, and I really enjoyed it because he's actually looking at the people and he's removing, I guess, any preconceived notions he had, like thinking that they were going to think the worst of him, and he's actually seen them for the people they actually are, giving them a chance and giving himself a chance to make actual friends with these people. And also I liked how Miko was willing to, when he was reflecting and he was frustrated, she wanted to go and support him. And it shows, like, even though she is quite antagonizing towards him, she still doesn't want to see him, I guess, do poorly, and she's willing to support him. Yeah. And it just shows how they both support each other without the other knowing.
No, it's true. They have that, like I said, they have that kind of like brother-sister relationship, but to the extreme where, like, you go out of your way to really show that they dislike each other, but really it's all love. Like, really they're for that each other's best interest in any kind of situation. Like, I know if something really dramatic was happening to Miko and Ishigami was there, he wouldn't be having it and he'd be stepping up for her. And likewise, if something was happening to Ishigami, which we've seen previously, Miko would be like, don't treat someone else unfairly. Like, they have, both of them have, like we said before, strong principles. They really hold strong, like, principles for justice, for fairness, for like equality, for just to treat others right. They're both just great individuals, like, if you think about it. But I still like the beef between them. I still like, because that brings a lot of really funny situations.
Yes, and one last thing I wanted to say is, you know how in I think it was a couple episodes, Miko was talking about how she got a flower from someone, talking about your efforts will bear fruits. I think it's confirmed in this episode it's Ishigami who gave her that flower. So that was a nice detail. But in the final part, we have Kyoko Otomo doesn't realize, and I think this is just the results of Ishigami's actions, showing that she doesn't understand why he did it, and she still kind of hates him, and she probably will never know, but she's still able to smile. So it's I guess a win for him, and Kagi's a bit frustrated, and she's actually the one who ran Ogino out the school, so that was interesting. I guess you flexed her influence there.
Proper flexing. It was just funny to see how that event, the results of the events in their past in junior school, she had the least like long-standing like impact on her lives. You know what I mean? Yet she was the one who was purposely dragging that situation with her. Like, it didn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? She should be the one who's like, "I'll just forget about it," because it wasn't, if you look at her perspective, it wasn't that deep. Whereas obviously there was higher stakes for the other guy and there was higher stakes for Ishigami, because obviously if the other guy came out, what happened came out, it would ruin the other guy's life because of the situation. And obviously Ishigami, everything that unfolded regarding everybody was against him. He was doubting his own ideals and his own thoughts and his own beliefs. So she just continues to show how naive she is as an individual. And like, it's so weird because she was also kind of happy that everything kind of happened the way she is, because she was like, but I'm so happy because I went to the school and the school was cool and I made the new friends, and the friends, you know what I mean? Like nothing bad happened to her, and it was all because of Ishigami. Like what's the name? Kaguya's maid, not maid.
Hayasaka.
Like Hayasaka said, that's the smile Ishigami protected. You know what I mean? He sacrificed so much to protect that smile. Even I, if I was in that situation now, wouldn't even talk bad to her, because I wouldn't want to take anything away from the sacrifice Ishigami made. You know what I mean? She needs to live a good, happy life now. She has to, you know what I mean, for the rest of her life, good health, good everything. Because Ishigami protected that girl. Yeah,
I think you summed it up very well there. Just the fruits of Ishigami's labor. And I respect Kaguya for wanting to adhere to his wishes, not one, because she could have easily just gone over there and said why he did all this, and then that probably would have affected her and made her feel more guilty, but she didn't, because she knew that would contradict what he was originally intending to do. So I think it was a good moment for her, and you kind of see how she respects Ishigami, because he didn't really get anything out of doing what he did. He just got hate. So for him, it kind of shows you that she respects him a lot because of what he did.
Had her rethinking if she's choosing the right man. She said, "Oh, maybe Ishigami is the one for me. Maybe I should change my priorities."
Nah, I don't think so. But any final comments?
This you can tell by the conversation we were able to have about this episode that it was one with a lot of depth, and one that presented like a deep analysis on what is experienced in real life. You know what I mean? It really can reflect a lot of situations and ideals and belief systems people stand by. And sometimes when you stand by something that is right, sometimes it doesn't even matter, because the person who's wrong will end up winning. But even though he got the worst of the end of the stick, standing by what he believed in and his ideals was the best thing for him to do. And you shouldn't ever like doubt yourself if you're in the right. And even though something might turn out to be detrimental to you, like hopefully not too detrimental, but just being able to say that as a human being, I did the right thing and I stood on beliefs where I wanted people to be like equal, people to have like have justice, to be protected. That's big values. Like it's very deep. And that's why this episode for me was so great, because it really had me thinking outside of just anime, but had me thinking of the world in general and how that works, and fairness and justice and like systems that are in place that are actually very wrong, and why don't we stand up for that, even though or stand against those things, even though it might mean that our situation is going to become more uncomfortable and more like worse and detrimental and affect us deeply. But sometimes even if it affects you, you have to stand up for what is right. That's what I really learned from this episode. And even though we didn't get a lot of comedy, the depth of this, I loved every moment.
Yeah, I think this was, as I said before, one of the best episodes of the season. Just how character driven it was, and then the focus on Ishigami, because they were hinting towards it throughout the first season and the second season. Like, it was well known that people didn't like him, and then finally understanding the context behind the situation, what was involved. And if I'm thinking about it, I don't even think what he did was as bad. It was just, I think that's more because we're seeing it from his point of view. And if I'm looking at it from an outsider's point of view, I can see why they hate him so much, because it's just absence of information. And the only conclusion, they just drew the common conclusion because they don't have all the pieces of the puzzle. So kind of like you were saying, it applies to the real world. When something will come out on social media or something, and they don't tell the whole story, so everyone jumps on this person, and then a couple hours later it comes out that this wasn't included, and it completely changes the whole tone of what was said before. But by that time it's already too late, because that person's probably getting bombarded with unjustified hate. And it's just a thing where you have to, I guess, step back and think before you say things, and then also the importance of thinking through your actions before you execute them, trying to keep calm in high intensity situations, which is very hard. And you see, like, it's very easy for someone to say one thing to you and you just flip. And I think it's something that everyone struggles with. Like, there's always something that will make somebody, I guess, crack. And if someone says it, it's very hard for you to resist. But if you're able to resist, then I think the reward or payoff is worth it. But I think it's just a thing of life. You improve as you get older, and I'm sure Ishigami will improve as well. And I think also this episode touches on the importance of having a good support group, because I don't think if he had the people he has now, that he would have made as much progress as he did if he didn't have somebody come to him when he was in his lowest moments to talk to him and, I guess, reaffirm what he did. Even though the method was wrong, the objective was correct. And just to have someone in his corner, just to know that if I fall down, you're there, that helps as well. So just overall very good, and another good reason to, I guess, look deeper when you watch something and then think about how you can apply it to your life, even though you're just watching it for leisure.
Life lessons. This was deep life lessons.
Yes, had to get deep for the penultimate one. But yes, that'll be all for this week.
Oh my day.
So I think both of us will probably give that 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, definitely 10 out of 10. That was easily a 10 out of 10. There was nothing from that episode where I could say it was so gripping and intense, and everything that was done just complemented everything so well. Like, I have no words to describe what a great episode that is. This is, like I said, this is the reason why I watch this show. I watch it for the comedy, but also watch it for the depth and how intelligently written it is, and how well it is produced, and how the layout, you really get a good story. Like, it's not just enjoyment, it's a great story, and there's real growth.
Nice statement to close us off there. So I'll be off, and we will be back for the final episode, which will be coming to your screen soon.
Finale. Hey. Oh my days. We went through this so quick. Catch you guys in a bit. Peace.